There is a trend to substituting copper towards aluminium. There's lots of factors, the price of course being one of them, but also the nature of the load. And we are seeing slowly, much slower than Europe and the States, a transition led by Saudi from copper cables or copper in cables to aluminium in cables. So we're well placed now. We have our own copper, we have our own aluminium. We can supply ourselves, we can supply the market. Yeah, DAC is part of our diversification strategy. It fits very well with our existing rod business and our cable business. So for the rod business, we already have the route to market for cable customers or electrical manufacturing customers who buy copper rod. Quite often they also buy aluminium rod. And this is our strength in that we can now offer both copper and aluminium to our existing customer base, as well as exploring new markets who previously we were not able to target because they don't take copper and they take aluminium. So for instance, in the African markets, there's a much heavier use of aluminium rod for cables than copper. So that the DAC facility therefore gives us a number of sort of competitive weapons to complement our copper rod sales, to open new markets, particularly into Africa. When you're looking at overhead line, it's the same story. Overhead line complements the existing offer we have to utilities with high voltage transmission and medium voltage distribution cable all buried. Now we have the overhead line component. And again, in developing markets like Africa, there's much more use of overhead line rather than buried cable. So it broadens our market access. And we're a relatively small volume producer. It's only 50,000 tonnes. So we will be focusing on the customers who really appreciate the quality of the metal that we produce. The molten feed that we receive from EGA is absolutely top quality and makes therefore top quality rod. And this is all the feedback we're getting back from our customers is excellent. They love the purity and cleanliness of the material that we're supplying. So it diversifies across both markets, it complements our existing business, it opens completely new markets where we've never had business before. So it's a very nice diversification for us. The prospects are very bright. If you look at overall renewables, in addition to nuclear, the real driver is the growth in electricity in this region, is the growth in electricity consumption. So that of course drives cable demand. So that's the underlying driver, is that the demand for electricity is still growing. On top of that, we've got a shift from thermal generation to either nuclear or renewable generation. From our point of view, it's all good news. It all needs cable. So if you look at now the solar farms, just from a physical location point of view, the solar farms are being built out in the desert. So there is just for standard cabling, the connection from the solar farm back into the grid. So we're working now on a high voltage substation in the Mohammed bin Rashid solar park with our high voltage business. So that's a driver of demand. It's what you might call conventional demand. Then within the solar park, this year we've launched our range of solar big cables. So these are the special, in a way, patch cords that are used in huge volumes for the PV panels and need to be TUV tested because of their exposure to sunlight, obviously. So that's a new vertical for us, that's a new market, and we've managed to supply that product not only in the UAE, but actually our largest sales so far have been to Australia. So it gives us the UAE and the GCC's lead in solar energy, and it's come so quickly the last few years, has given us a portfolio that we're now able to take overseas, in this case to Australia. Likewise for nuclear, the work we did to gain experience and supply the Baraka power plant. As you know, we're now supplying the Korean power plants in Korea, and we'll obviously be following the growth of nuclear power as it grows in the UK, in Saudi, in Egypt, and we have a ready-made, proven portfolio.